You are listening to the Cattle Call Podcast. This is the place where computer-aided design and drafting meets humor and practicality, with a touch of business acumen thrown in for fun. Jim and Rocco, the owners of Tech Consultants, the premier U.S. technology consulting firm for architecture, engineering, construction, and manufacturing, discuss the fascinating world of CAD with some humor and some honesty. The Cattle Call Podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Cattle Call Podcast with Jim and Rocco from Tech Consultants. I am Jim, your incandescently joyous host. And with me, as always, is my partner.
Well, I'm the normal one. It's Rocco.
Is the receipt? You missed the opportunity, dude. We can say whatever crap we want here. It's our show. I get the best titles, and you're just Rocco. But I tell you what, here's the fun part. Fun part of the show is that I still get to tell you the engineering joke of the week. All right, you ready for this?
I'm ready.
All right. Why are civil engineers the very worst at playing hide and seek?
Oh, no. Why?
Because they always leave behind concrete evidence of where they're hiding. Huh? Just the world's worst jokes. It's just amazing how bad these are. All right. All right, folks. So today I'm going to talk about a topic that's going to, well, basically panic the crap out of my partner and probably surprise most of our listeners. I want to talk about why you need to think about dropping a lot of your software. And now, look, before Rocco strokes out that I'm going to kill our sales opportunity, let me clarify that a little
I
bit.
think you did with that joke already.
That could be. I think everybody just went, nope, we're not listening to this episode. Not after that joke. So what I really do want to do here, though, I want to discuss kind of the pros and the cons of large enterprise-level software systems, right, versus developing more simplified workflow processes to help your staff kind of do what they're already doing, but to do it better and smarter. Look, I'm not advocating dropping all software here, right? I'm a tech guy. I love software. What I want to look at, though, is seeing if maybe using a few well-chosen, smaller systems, right, with an efficient workflow is better than trying to implement some massive enterprise system that claims it's going to do everything you could ever need, every function under the sun. We handle it all. So, Rocco, in terms of your client conversations on software, kind of in the AEC space, do you find that most people are looking for that single system or a massive software bundle, right, that they can focus on and that they think is going to handle most of their business needs?
It's about simplicity, right? I mean, so many people are so busy that and the technology changes so often that it's hard to grasp hold of one piece of software with the regular annual subscriptions that we're all paying now and the regular updates, right? We were just complaining about Teams before this this podcast, so it's hard enough grasping one, let alone grasping multiple packages.
Yeah, that's absolutely the case. And that's kind of where we want to focus today, right? So let's get into that a bit. And I'm going to start off with some statistics here that I read in Business Wire, which was off of a study done by Productive. And it says that less than half, only actually 45% of company software apps are used on a regular basis. All right, that means that most of the tools, the bundles, the systems that you're paying for aren't being used. And this is particularly problematic in the design build world where the software developers have all pushed towards, major enterprise systems for the construction management, right? And very, very expensive bundles of vertical CAD, BIM systems in the design space. And look, these packages are powerhouses, right? That can potentially, right, do most anything that you want, but they are crazy expensive. And that is especially true, right, with the SaaS or the software as a service licensing model, where you're paying every year to essentially lease these massive software systems. So, think about that, right? Think about what you're paying for your massive CAD collection or your construction management software every year, and then realize that less than half of your people are using it at any level, right? And even the ones that do use it periodically, they're only likely using it, a fraction of that software, a fraction of the time. Right? Now, look, I'm not going to name any systems and browbeat any companies here today. You guys know the systems that you're using, and you can apply this conversation to your own setup. But let's start with the idea of those big, massive software bundles, right? Those, like I said, they're particularly prevalent with design software, right? Where they come at you and they say, hey, for a few $100s extra above what you were going to pay for that one package you really, really need, a couple $100 more, and I'll give you a dozen more softwares, right, for the same license, right? And it sounds great, right? Well, it's really not. In fact, that concept is costing you way more money, time, and aggravation than it's ever going to be worth at the corporate level. In the real world, this is the kind of argument that I have with my wife all the time. She does things like go shopping and then she'll bring home like 6 cans of Spam or some other crap. And I'm going to point out, we don't eat that. And the answer is, but it was a deal. They gave me the 6 cans for only $1 when I was buying that steak you asked me for. And I can't ever seem to get through to her that something is only a deal if you can only, if you're actually going to use that extra thing that you're getting. So she doesn't seem to catch on to the idea that you just wasted $1. So Rocco, how many of our customers, I guess, in the design space kind of buy these packaged bundles and then wind up never actually using that add-on software that they're getting in the deal?
So all I'm going to say here is I hope your wife doesn't listen to this podcast, because
my wife doesn't even listen to when I speak to her. Why would she listen to my podcast?
Because if she does, you're sleeping in the doghouse, buddy.
I have a permanent bed set up in there. I'll be fine.
No. So to address your question, they're using one, maybe most two of the applications that are built into these suites, and again, it's there's just so much to them, and it's part of their daily workflow. They don't have the time, especially with the AEC industry and how busy they are. They don't even have time to learn all these other applications. So they're taking up space and bogging down systems.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. If you take a minute and you look at the cost here, right? So look, even if it's only $200 extra, right, and they give you a dozen software packages, that sounds like a great bargain, right? It's not. If you don't use those packages, you're just giving away $200. And look, I get it, right? You're a big construction company, you're a big architecture firm. You say, we can afford $200, right? Just on the off chance that maybe somebody gets some use out of it. But the thing you got to understand is it's not just $200. It's $200 per year per seat, right? And that means, if you have 20 seats, right? That means you're giving away like $4,000 a year, every year. And that's just for one single bundle of software, right? A lot of companies have multiple bundles like this from different developers, and the other costs, which are way more significant here, you have to consider the time, the money, the storage fees, the backup, the power uses that your IT group is going to have to deal with when they're installing and patching and updating dozens of different software systems that nobody ever actually uses, right? And I'm going to add this to my point. If you're sitting there right now and you're thinking, we'll get around that because we're only going to install the ones that people actually use. Aha. Yeah, but you're still A, giving away free money to the developer, and B, you still have to pay your IT guys to go in and to group it and sort it and filter it and then manually install one at a time, dozens, maybe hundreds of different programs onto 30, 40 different systems. That is a crazy expensive and a terrible use of their time. So, Rocco, right? This is something we're talking to a lot of our design clients about, right? This, eliminating useless secondary software to focus on providing only the very specific tools that they need, right? And for the design guys, what's primarily the package we're swapping out most often for them?
So you're probably thinking about Bluebeam Review, right?
I don't know. You tell me what's. I mean, I was actually thinking more along the lines of BricsCAD, but because we're not really swapping out. Bluebeam's kind of a standalone to my mind. I was thinking more along the lines of people are using these other massive CAD packages because they're like, well, at least I get this base CAD system I can use that most of my guys use. I was thinking BricsCAD. What's kind of the bite there?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's BricsCAD is a healthy alternative to AutoCAD. I mean, it's fully DWG based. It's sold as annual or perpetual licenses, and you're not getting a whole suite of packages. You're getting the core design package, and it does have a light BIM, mechanical, full suite of package if you want it. But at its core, it's a base DWG design platform.
Yeah. And it's like, so, the logic, sometimes people look at that and they're like, oh, well, I'm getting, AutoCAD or whatever for another $200. It's a great deal. But it's not. You're buying, the expensive vertical package for people who don't use it. Because this guy uses AutoCAD. I just get the bundle and then he can use the AutoCAD. Yeah, but now you're paying the price for one of their big, expensive Civil 3D, Revit, verticals or whatever, right? MicroStation or whatever other bundle you're dealing with, for guys who just need a basic system. So that's the kind of stuff that you guys really need to start looking at internally and how you work in there. And the other thing that I want to hit on, on this topic, it's the large scale construction management systems, right? That so many of us have bought into. And again, I don't really want to, name or browbeat or get negative on anybody. And I'll even say we do a lot of work here at Zentech, right? Supporting and training and consulting and helping people configure these enterprise level construction management systems. We do it a lot. But the issue that I see here is that these huge corporate level systems, they try to do everything conceivable in the construction world for every possible client, and they just can't do it, right? I kind of live my life by the old phrase, right? The more complex a system is, the less likely it is to work. Look, that is as true for software as it is for a car or a spacecraft. When you work in a system, any system that's designed to handle every possible scenario that the developers can conceive of, you're going to run into two major concerns, I think, that's going to frustrate everyone. Number one, these systems, they take immense amounts of training and support in order to even function, right? Because they're so, I guess we'll call it function rich. They got so many tools and so many features built in that most of us are never going to touch, right? And number two, you kind of have to go and change the way that your people work to match the workflow that new software, that enterprise software system tells you have to follow in order to use their system. And both of those things are going to cost you a lot of time, a lot of money, and a whole lot of frustration. And what do I mean by that in kind of real world terms, right? So here's some more statistics for you, right? This one is from Gartner Research. Anywhere between 55% and 75% of all enterprise level software implementations fail and are abandoned within 2 years. Think about what you're spending on your massive, ERP construction management tool and all the add-ons and modules and the time you spend training and so on, and realize that all that money is most likely going to leave you back at square one in just 2 years. It's just a lost investment, right? So I tell you what, on that happy thought, let's take a break here to give our sponsors to get a word in here. And then when we get back, I want to talk about the alternatives to kind of what we've called out as problematic practices here, all right? So stand by, folks. We'll be back in a minute with more of the Cattle Call Podcast. All right, everybody. The sponsor for today's episode of the Cattle Call Podcast is Matterport. Now, you guys know Matterport. They've been all over the world. We see them all the time getting, 3D laser scans and photogrammetric digital twins for all of our real estate development houses and all of that great stuff we see out there. But what I really want you guys to understand about Matterport is that it does so much more than just those static models. One of the really amazing things that you can do with Matterport is you can integrate links and hyperlinks to dashboards and controls. We can link to videos. We can link to warranty information, manufacturing information. Think of it like this. If you could go into a digital twin model, have your clients and your coworkers walk through it, pick a piece of equipment, click on it, and get all the information on the make, the model, the manufacturer, when it was last updated, how much does it cost, how do I order a new one, anything that you could conceive of, whether it's in a manufacturing space, a facility management system, or on the construction job site. We can do all of that and so much more in Matterport. It's not just 3D scanning, it's a lot more. So Rocco, why don't you tell these folks how we work with Matterport and how they can reach out to find more?
Yeah, whether it's the integration with Bluebeam, products like Bluebeam or Procore, or even Adobe, we can help you from the consulting standpoint. If you're looking for help on the scanning end, we can help. If you're looking to buy the cameras, we can help. So feel free to reach out to us. Website is zentechconsultants.net. Give us a ring, 866-824-4459, or drop us an email, sales@zentechconsultants.net.
There you go, folks. Matterport, so much more than you ever thought it was, and sponsoring the Cattle Call Podcast. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Cattle Call Podcast. We're talking about enterprise software versus workflow improvements. And in this half of the show, I want to focus on the workflow improvement processes and how they can help you. I get that we all look at our current workflows, everybody, and we always think that they can be better. And you're right, they can. But, I think in the top of this podcast, we kind of shot down, this idea of more software or bigger enterprise systems or more structure as always being the right answer. So what are you supposed to do then, right? If the big expensive software is not going to fix all my problems, what are we supposed to do? Well, we're talking about improving workflow and processes, right? But, how are you going to do it? And to my mind, it's not always about changing what your people are doing today, right? There's kind of this underlying belief that's, my people are screwing up. They're not working right. We got to, regulate them. Maybe the idea here is not blaming them for being, either bad communicators or they're lazy or they don't care or 100 other things, right? That's usually not the case. What we see as consultants here at Zentech, 90% of the time, it's not the people. Right? It's poor configuration of your people's work process, right? And a lack of integration of data, right, between the software systems that you already have, right? In other words, don't blame your people for this when it's really probably just that they are struggling to do the very best they can with a cobbled together system of multiple storage locations and different processes and software that doesn't talk to each other, and they can't connect the data and they don't know where to find it, right? They can't make the workflow go in a rational manner. And that's what you really want to focus on. So let me ask you that, Rocco, right? How many of our clients are actually coming to us who are concerned about their actual internal workflows instead of, new software, right? They're saying, hey, we want to make the workflow better so we can be more efficient and save money.
Yeah, that's a big part of what we do. I mean, day to day, there's so many conversations where people are just blown away by what the software that they have at their fingertips can do when we show that to them, when we have deeper conversations. So that's part of why we're around, right? To help folks become more proficient and utilize the tools that are at their fingertips better. It's not about spending more and buying more tools. Yeah. That's for sure.
Absolutely, right? Right? Don't throw out the baby with the bathwater, right? Don't get rid of the tools and features that you have. Make it work better. So look, like I said, the way to improve your workflow is most often to let your workers continue doing what they already know how to do and let them do it the way that they know how to do it. And I know it sounds like I'm crazy, right? How am I going to get better efficiency by not changing anything? Well, I didn't say we weren't going to change things. We're actually going to look at ways to make what your people are already doing, make that go faster, smarter, easier, right? And that right there that concept, it's the true secret to a successful consulting engagement. If you're looking to implement a new, better process successfully, right? And you're like, oh, everybody fights, nobody wants to do the changes, they're all arguing. Here's how you do it. You let people do what they already know how to do, but show them how it can be done easier. And those people will be your biggest cheerleaders around this new process. You're making my job easier and I don't have to do anything totally different. Absolutely, they want that. The workflow changes that we most often recommend, right, allows people to keep working with the software they already know how to use. We focus on getting them to the right data faster, right? And automating the connection between the software systems you already have whenever we possibly can. We also work, showing clients that a lot of the data that they have, the term is warehouse, right? It's kind of locked away in separate files, and then they mainly have to go get that data and copy and paste it to a report and run a new report and go get this information from there. All of that can be made available in real-time analytics and dashboards and reports that update in real time. And we found that to be a really effective, right, way of working. And in real world terms, it's helping people use graphic interfaces to get to the data that they need just by, instead of having to search and so on for servers and folders and subfolders 100 times a day, they can just open up a PDF and click on a map or a button or an image or a floor plan or a workflow. They can just click on things and it takes them to the data that they need. And that may sound like it's a small thing, right? But up to 40%, and we've talked about this on the show before, up to 40% of a normal tech worker's day can be spent just searching for their files, 40% of their time. By implementing some type of a digital dashboard control where there's a simple interface that takes people to exactly the information that they need without having this constant searching and remembering where things are, you will see a major productivity bump with just that one simple change. So, Rocco, when we're doing dashboard work, right, this type of work, do people usually see that concept of locating files as something important when they start talking to you, or is it something that they kind of underestimate or never really thought about that you need to explain to them?
No, they definitely see the benefit because we all spend too much time searching for this and searching for that. This is a process that's better explained visually. So, you definitely want to reach out to us and talk to us about it, and so that we can kind of show you the process, but and how you could benefit from it. But yeah, it's files. We all have too many files in too many different places.
Yeah,
and
no
we're
doubt.
spending too much time searching.
Absolutely. All right. So look, the other major aspect of improving your workflows with one of these dashboard systems, it's that you can link and connect these dashboards to just about any data source. I don't care if you're working with Excel files or CSVs or a SQL database or a more advanced database or PDFs and Word documents and websites and physical items. Doesn't matter. Anything, you can put anything and link anything together to provide the information in the order that you need your users to get to it, right? So that they can just click on a picture or click on a button or a link and get right to that data on their own. Right. And it's all connected and formatted, right, to your requirements and pieced together into dashboards and reports that show up the information in real time. What do I mean by that? So look, if you're in construction, you want to see, what bills have come in this month, right? And how many need to be paid by the end of this month, and how much money you're holding in retainage against certain projects or certain, vendors or whatever. You don't need a full construction management system for that. All that data can be aggregated from your accounting database and from, the PM, maybe he's working Excel files and a project database. All of that can be linked together to give you, right, this really nice dashboard, and your people can continue to work in whatever systems and primary ways that they are working today. And all that data just gets, routed directly to these dashboard panels, right? so that you can look at this graphically without even having to go get data. It's just there in real time. To make that happen, right, we're using tools like, Microsoft Power BI and Bluebeam to start developing these dashboards and analytic pages for you. And like I was saying earlier, right, with the dashboards, we can even link to specific files and web pages. Look, even if you guys need to deal with, security devices like, cameras or, card readers or, 3D models and digital twins of your facility, if that's what you need, it doesn't matter. We can link to just about anything, right? The underlying idea is that you're putting together the simplest step-by-step process of how you want your people to work, right? And how you need the data to flow. When we work the dashboards around that, instead of, reinventing everybody's work process for some ridiculously priced piece of software that they have to learn from the ground up and change everything, right? It works so much better, and I'll tell you, honestly, the capabilities of these digital dashboard controls it's just staggering. And I really do, I believe they're poised to just fully replace these big enterprise systems throughout our industry over the next few years as people really start to understand these concepts, that you don't need to just throw ridiculous amounts of money at these big software companies and change the way that you're working. You can really control the workflow process just with these custom dashboards that work the way you need them to. And really with this podcast, we are literally just touching the surface of this concept. There's so much more to this that we can't even get to today. And with that in mind, Rocco, right, we have actually they're just educational programs, right? Give people information on these dashboards that we're running right now. What are they? And how do our listeners access them so they can get more information on these digital dashboarding concepts?
Yeah, there are Tekflow for construction and Tekflow for government series that Jim has actually done. We're trying to make Jim world famous. He'll be at the mall tomorrow if anybody wants to show up. He's giving out autographs.
There you go.
But yeah, it's an online series that you guys can look up. It's TEK, so Tekflow for construction and Tekflow for government, and you can hit it off our website at zentechconsultants.net, or it's actually on YouTube as well.
All right. So I tell you what, folks, I'm going to kind of leave this conversation like this, right? Enterprise systems can be very, very useful for extremely large companies. But most of us, right, for most of us, they're just overkill, and they lead to deficiency instead of efficiency, right? You're going to get better results letting your people work the way they know and already understand, and then adjusting the workflow and using technology to make that daily process easier on them. And that's the way you guys want to focus on it, right? And with that, we're going to bounce out of here, and we'll catch you next time on the Cattle Call Podcast. All right, everybody, today's Cattle Call was brought to you courtesy of Zentech Consultants. That's Rocco and I. Zentech Consultants works with design and manufacturing firms to help our clients purchase and implement the software that they need in these complex industries. We provide a single point of contact for clients to buy, develop, and learn the most vital software systems for your specific needs. Zentech strives to be your trusted technology partner from your initial needs all the way through long-term support and training for your entire staff. So Rocco, why don't you tell them how to reach out to Zentech?
All right, yeah, you can reach out to us through zentechconsultants.net. You can email us at sales@zentechconsultants.net, or you can even call us 866-824-4459.
Excellent. We look forward to hearing from you all.